From the University of California, San Diego's Jacobs School of Engineering, DADS, or Dynamic Active Displays, that increase driver awareness and safety. And a look at Seacat, a program to accelerate the development and transfer of new technologies. All on this edition of OnBeyond.
Imagine a laser that writes your current speed on your windshield, but only after your car calculates that you're driving way above the speed limit. Or imagine that an onboard computer learns the motions of your head and hands so well that it can estimate very accurately that you intend to make a left turn, even before you start to turn. If such a turn may lead to a collision with a cyclist or a pedestrian or a vehicle not in your view, the laser will then flash an alarm for you to avoid the accident. Sound like science fiction? Not anymore. Those are two of the innovations that have jumped from the drawing board to experimental vehicles outfitted by engineers at UC San Diego's Laboratory for Intelligent and Safe Automobiles, LISA for short.
And this particular vehicle is used for developing a whole range of active safety systems which would provide new generation of driver assistance technologies.
In Professor Trivedi's cavernous lab on the campus of UC San Diego, researchers are testing an experimental laser system to see whether it can become part of a new computer vision-based active heads-up display for drivers. It's one of several projects underway to make cars smarter and safer, with funding from Volkswagen Audi, Nissan Motors, Daimler Chrysler, and the state of California's UC Discovery Grant program. One of the lab's new inventions is a novel interface system utilizing a laser-based wide-area heads-up windshield display. And evidence is piling up that the new systems, called dynamic active displays, really do improve auto safety and significantly reduce a driver's gaze away from the road. That project is funded by VW Audi.
So this interface with UC San Diego is to bring it together into one system, in one car, where we can study what you can actually do with it, define the technical parameters, explore really what are the new applications and use scenarios.
Case in point, one new feature called Speed Compliance Support can display how fast the car is traveling above the speed limit. The experimental system monitors the speed limit by using GPS information to locate the vehicle on an annotated map with speed limits. A computer in the car's trunk does the math, monitoring how far above the speed limit the car is traveling, and the results are then etched on the windshield wherever the driver's face is pointing. Indeed, in a scientific study to be published this spring, drivers getting the windshield alert took their foot off the gas at a 42% higher rate compared to drivers who were not given the alert and had to rely instead on standard dashboard controls. What's more, by getting the alert at eye level as a see-through icon on the windshield, drivers don't have to look down at the dashboard, which would divert their attention for the milliseconds that could mean the difference between life and death.
Much of the equipment here is here to provide some clean data for us.
Graduate student Shinko Cheng and other colleagues in Trivedi's LISA lab have developed over a dozen applications using cameras, pattern recognition, and other computer vision techniques to monitor what's happening inside and outside the vehicle, and especially the state and intent of the driver.
There are three elements. There is a vehicle, there is a surround around the vehicle which is changing, and then there is a driver who is the human in the loop. We want to come up with those types of sensing systems, those types of situation awareness systems which would help driver maintain their concentration on safe operation of the vehicle.
VW approached Trivedi and installed a unique laser scanner-based display system at the base of the windshield. Capable of writing on the glass, it treats the full windshield as if it's one large computer monitor.
This particular thing is tied to a vision-based system that we have developed, which allows us to look at the driver's state, driver's gaze, driver's activities in concert with the surrounding criticalities which are measured by other sensors, and we put the information from inside, information from the outside, as well as the information of the state of the vehicle in one engine which is developing analysis of a particular instance criticality, and then based upon the need it figures out where and what to project on the entire windshield. Symbols are going to be brought out only when they are needed and only at places which are appropriate for us to project in front of the driver.
In other words, no visual clutter. Trivedi reports drivers tend to drive more carefully even when a laser alert is beamed to a part of the windshield in their peripheral vision. In their new research paper on DADs to help drivers comply with speed limits, Trivedi and graduate students Cheng and Anup Doshi compared 4 different types of display protocols, and all of them performed better than the standard speedometer on the dashboard. Going forward, there are plenty of other open research questions.
From computer vision, from multi-sensor fusion, classification, recognition, intent analysis, they are all open problems that we want to work systematically and solve.
And based on the experiments so far using dynamic active displays, Trivedi and his colleagues can point to the first solid data that the technology can reduce driver distraction and help motorists stick closer to the speed limit, with huge potential ramifications for improving auto safety. For UCSD TV, I'm Doug Ramsey.
A tiny zoom lens, a sophisticated use of laser technology, both the result of advanced research, each a fantastic development in its own right. But how do their benefits become tangible to society? That's the challenge taken on by the Center for the Commercialization of Advanced Technology, or Seacat, a public-private consortium of academia, industry, and government. Supported by the U.S. Congress through funding from the Office of Naval Research, Seacat's mission is to bridge the gap that exists between the generators of technology, the Department of Defense, and the commercialization of technologies. From wireless communications, vehicle navigation systems, to the ubiquitous internet and even your digital camera, much of the technology that enhances our daily lives somehow benefited from advanced research projects rooted in national security. It is Seacat's mission to help advanced technologies become products for the future. What may lie ahead? And how does Seacat help? Yu-Hua Lo of the University of California, San Diego's Jacobs School of Engineering developed a technology that may transform our ability to image the world. With a technology license from the university, he helped create revision technology to bring this application to market.
What you are looking at is the smallest zoom lens in the world. Typical zoom lens is about 3 times longer and about 20 to 30 times larger in volume. This zoom lens produces the same optical zoom effect as any conventional zoom lens you will find in your camera. We started this project about 4 or 5 years ago after the unfortunate event of September 11. Right after the event, the Department of Defense of U.S. government announced a challenge. What they want is a very small yet powerful optical lenses to help them to see things from far away with 10x optical zoom capability. On top of that, the whole system has to be so light to be able to mount on any military platform. Namely, the whole system cannot be weigh more than 100 grams, and the size has to be as small as a finger. This is an incredibly tough problem. When we look at the problem and we look into all possible approaches, it didn't take us too long to realize that the best approaches we could take is really from the vision from the animal eyes. For example, when we look at eagle's eye, we find that we have an almost ideal solution for telephoto view. On the other hand, if we look at the fish eye, and we have another ideal solution for wide-angle view. So if we can combine these 2 eye structures in one, and we have a wide angle as well as a high resolution telephoto view. And that is exactly what we try to do when we design our lens. This is the only camera in the world that can give you a clear image for object at infinity and the clear view at object that is only a quarter of the size of your hair. Original idea from DARPA was to use for security cameras, surveillance cameras, mounted on different type of military platforms. But these devices can probably find better, more applications in consumer electronics, such as cell phone cameras, cameras in PDAs, in your laptop or PCs, and this camera also has some very unique capabilities. The camera can also find applications in medical imaging, in laparoscopic surgery. When we realize how useful this device can be, our next challenge, how do we realize its potential to different type of applications, consumer applications, defense applications, medical applications, and so on. And this is actually beyond what the domain of my knowledge. In the laboratory, our purpose is to prove the concept, understand the physics, and make prototypes. So I quickly realized the limit of capability on my own, and I need to seek additional resource and help and advice from outside. CCAT award, I was told, is basically open to people from industry as well. So if I eventually want to move the technology outside UCSD and start a company, I need to receive resource that help me to develop a prototype that I can show around to investors and start my company. Fortunately, I was awarded with the Seacat award for $75,000. With the Seacat award, I was also connected to a market study group, and this market study group provide me the report. What Seacat helped me to focus on is the cell phone business. That's a massive consumer market. If a fraction of that will use our lens to upgrade their camera with the autofocusing and optical zoom capability, that becomes a very sizable and attractive market for any business. With the $75,000 awarded by Seacat, I have the money to hire the consultants, hire all engineers, including mechanical engineers, programmers, software engineers, optical engineers. Collectively, we developed the first prototype. In retrospect, I think Seacat award, the $75,000, the market study, and the association with all the members in the Seacat produce many values. When you have something concrete in front of people, it's worth more than 1,000 words or even 100 pictures, because you show people and people can easily envision how this thing will work, how the thing will fit into camera phone, and perhaps more importantly, it gives you the credibility that you can do something with as little as $75,000. Without a doubt, there are many challenges we have to overcome. Some are technical, some are business, some are marketing, in order to succeed as a business. I personally feel very optimistic about the chance of success in this cell phone business. Customers will receive that. They are willing to try new product and new technology. That makes me feel optimistic. On the other hand, the game becomes very exciting and interesting, since we know that the board is on our court.
At San Diego State University, a $75,000 grant and market study from Seacat assisted chemist Bill Tong, who has perfected an ultra-sensitive technique to use lasers as a chemical detector.
This particular method that we're working on, called laser wave mixing or nonlinear wave mixing spectroscopy, has a lot of unique advantages. In a typical laser wave mixing setup, what we do is we send 2 laser beams into the sample, and when you mix 2 laser beams and cross them at a small angle, you create interference gratings. And if there is a molecule or atom or some molecules present in that grating, you significantly change the dynamics of that grating. And the signal beam coming out of that grating tells you a lot about that molecule. So this is a really sensitive grating, and therefore the overall detection scheme is really sensitive. Recently, we published a paper. We reported sub-parts per quadrillion, a fraction of a quadrillion. So the level of sensitivity we're talking about is like picking 1 second out of 500 million years. And then we have other things like the fact that the signal is a coherent beam, that is like a laser beam. So you can detect 100% of your signal into your detector. Now, potential applications are very wide-ranging, anywhere from defense, security, pharmaceutical, biotech, environmental applications, and on and on. So my research lab has been funded by a lot of funding agencies, including the National Science Foundation, the National Institutes of Health, National Institute of General Medical Sciences, and quite a few different companies and corporations. Recently, Seacat has helped us find useful contacts for a specific application, and they've helped us focus in on specific applications that we want to study. One of the potential applications might be that we can mount these really portable units on robots and UAVs, and you can fly over somewhere and detect chemicals or anything else you want to detect in real time, and the signal sent back in real time. Compare that to a lot of other technology where you have to collect the sample and then bring it back to the lab and then analyze them using much bigger machines. So our goal is to design them so that they are portable enough to be used in the field to get real-time signal. The future of this particular laser technique is very promising, and we're collecting really encouraging results every day for a wide range of applications, from biomedical to security, defense, to environmental applications. And we have a lot more projects we want to study than we have manpower for right now, but we are studying all kinds of potential designs.
CCAT not only supports the development of technology, it supports the development of a workforce capable of assisting new technologies by providing real-world training for students. Through a CCAT-supported internship, San Diego State University MBA student Vincent Crowley was afforded the opportunity to work amidst some of the most advanced research in the country.
I work at Space and Naval Warfare Systems Center San Diego in Point Loma, which is the Navy's premier research and development lab for science and technology. The main focus is an acronym called C4ISR, which stands for Command, Control, Communications, Computing in Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance, which is a mouthful, but the focus is the largest part of our portfolio of technologies here is communications, which can be anything from antennas to digital encryption systems, all the way to low-end technologies, which is maybe just a unit that captures Navy SEAL boats quicker for units actually out there in the field and operations. And this enables our warfighters and our decision makers more accurate information to make the timely decisions that are critical. What makes SSC San Diego's lab unique is that it's positioned at the intersection of technology, acquisition, and the warfighter requirements. And that is to say that we are first identifying needs, real-world needs and requirements, and then backfilling them with real-world developed technologies through the acquisition process, with the entire goal being to serve the warfighter in the end. My job here at SSC San Diego is technology transfer, which is the process of commercializing technologies that are developed for government use. An example of this is what you see on the screen back here is a computer software program that is written for computer users to help make their work on a daily basis more efficient. Closely clustered objects on a screen are often hard to pick, and you'll spend time clicking the mouse on several objects trying to get the one you want. This software enables you to see a pre-selected cursor or object on the screen at any given time. Now you can see that this is developed for government use, but you can imagine the uses that this would have in a commercial applications for micro devices such as PDAs with very small screens and tightly clustered objects. And that is an example of a technology that's developed for government use but does have commercial applications. The majority of my time is spent managing the entire portfolio. We have over 280 active patented technologies here, and therefore my priority is effectively marketing the entire portfolio as best I can. So as a natural progression of a student and as a former Marine, this internship has provided me the opportunity to stay connected with the government and public service, as well as to apply what I was learning in the classroom to real-world applications and problems. The most important development that I think I've gained from this internship is the overall management of the program. Although I enjoy working on individual technologies and sciences on a daily basis, putting all the pieces together and managing the big picture is what I enjoy the most, as well as what has given me the most valuable experience. This internship blew my expectations away. I had no business background joining the MBA program, and I expected a much more rudimentary, lower level, well-structured task internship, and instead I was afforded this opportunity and was more of a marketing manager than I was an intern. This internship exposed me to a myriad of business functions: marketing, large organizations, technology, finance and budgeting, as well as operations in general. And it gave me directions. As for goals, it sped up my goal timeline immensely. Putting this experience on my resume has increased the number of, or the level of opportunities, both in number and responsibility, by quite a bit.
At UCSD's Rady School of Management, a CCAT-sponsored internship allowed MBA candidates Cindy Atwell and Nicholas Boyle to create a plan to develop support for a promising new therapeutic technology.
Nick and I worked with Lancel, working on a adjuvant for vaccines. An adjuvant is something that helps a vaccine work more quickly as well as more effectively. So for example, if you have one dose of a vaccine, you can dilute that dose down tenfold and still have the same activity, the same efficacy, and it'll work just as quickly, actually more quickly, with the adjuvant. Lancel's technology is what's called a platform technology. So the platform technology you can use in many different areas. It's not just one product. You can make many products from this technology. Traditionally, we look at vaccines as something that you received as a child, maybe for chicken pox. But there are also therapeutic vaccines, so Lancel's technology can work with both vaccines.
So the US is vulnerable to a dirty bomb terrorist attack. For example, a bomb blowing up over New York laced with influenza or smallpox. Currently, the existing technologies are not sufficient to deal with that infectious problem spreading across the US. The value of Lancel's technology promises to possibly, and there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but possibly mitigate the spread of smallpox and influenza in the event of a terrorist attack. So Lancel's technology is at the preclinical stage, and it may well be in the preclinical stage for another couple of years. The importance of the Seacat grant, and indeed any grant that a small company like Lancel can get, is it enables the company to advance its preclinical studies. That's how the money was used that was received from Seacat. It's an extremely costly and risky phase of drug development, the preclinical phase. So it's so important for companies like Lancel to receive grants from Seacat and other research funding organizations to advance the technologies to a point at which venture capitalists and larger pharma players can get actively involved in the funding. So the key challenge that we were faced with was coming up with a commercialization strategy for Lancel.
The first step was doing a SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and as well as doing a case study on 30 other companies in the vaccine space which were similar to Lancel, and determining how did they go about getting funding. For a startup company, funding is probably the number one concern on the CEO's mind.
A lot of the case studies that we work on are in the abstract sense, and both Cindy and I like to apply what we learn in the classroom to real life applications, and we were very fortunate in working with Lancel as well as Derry Connolly at Seacat and Dwayne Roth and others at Connect, in really seeing where the rubber meets the road in terms of, okay, here's the technology, but it's no use unless you appropriately commercialize it. So that's what's one of the key values of the work that Cindy and I did, and it advanced our professional learning.
We actually talked with many people in the San Diego community, business community, who were very helpful in pointing us in the right direction and giving us advice on licensing and licensing terms.
That's one of the more pleasurable aspects of this project, was engaging with the community, and we've found many open doors. We would approach lawyers, other service providers, business leaders, commercialization leaders in San Diego, and they were all extremely willing to help us and guide our thinking to come up with recommendations for Lancel. The most surprising aspect of the project was just how difficult it is to commercialize the technology. There is certainly no shortage of brilliant ideas coming out of the labs here at UCSD, at Burnham, Scripps. There are so many ideas. What is really challenging is how to commercialize those ideas and go from the lab to the market, which ties into the flagship educational program at the Rady School, which is the Lab to Market project. How do you transition brilliant technologies from the lab to the marketplace? And it's extremely challenging, and Lancel faces that challenge, and the working with Seacat is helping Lancel have a clearer vision towards product commercialization.
I agree with Nick, because I always thought, if it's a great technology, it's going to get out there somehow. But I think that really learning how, as an entrepreneur, learning how to package that, how to present that to potential investors is actually very, very important.
And Cindy hit on a really key point, and both Cindy and I were scientists before coming to the Rady School of Management, and we fall in love with our projects, and we think the technology will carry itself to the marketplace, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Without the appropriate people and partners such as Seacat and Connect to provide a clearer path towards commercialization of technologies, technology just doesn't go anywhere.
What lies ahead for Seacat? To date, Seacat has provided support for a multitude of various technologies, and the list of potential and current applications continues to grow. One thing is certain, that through Seacat, the dreams of the lab can one day become reality.